I'm Helen Minette, and I'm the coordinator of Craft in the Classroom. Before taking on this role 2 years ago, I was involved in the programme as a craftsperson. And as someone who's worked in the field of arts and craft education for quite a few years, both in the UK and in Ireland, I was very, very impressed by this model when I was introduced to it 2 years ago. So I was delighted when they asked me if I'd take on the role of coordinating it. Today I'm going to give you a brief overview on the programme, outlining its aims and objectives and some of the outcomes of the programme to date. So what is Craft in the Classroom? Craft in the Classroom is a crafts-based education programme that supports the visual arts in the curriculum, and it delivers creative craft projects for students at primary schools. Its aims are to heighten the awareness of craft, to support the visual arts curriculum, to develop innovation and creativity at an early age, to model and facilitate strong creative practice, to develop good collaborative practice between craftspeople and teachers, and to provide training for craftspeople and teachers, and encourage craftspeople to revisit their creative process. So, where did Craft in the Classroom start? What's the background to it? In a direct response to a need for help and support in the visual arts curriculum at primary school level, as Simba mentioned when they were doing their surveys, that a third of primary school teachers feel inadequately prepared to teach the visual arts curriculum. The GANs, which are the Guild and Association Networks and Societies, and the Cork Textile Network, they commissioned a report. And it was based on this report that the Crafts Council of Ireland initiated Craft in the Classroom as a pilot project in 2005. And this took place in Cork. And out of this, it was a very, very successful project. It involved 15 schools and 15 makers, and I think about 350 children involved in it. And some of the key points to come out of the evaluation were the importance of partnership, and also how important the pre-residency planning was, that it was invaluable to the success of the projects. So based on this, the Crafts Council then ran the project again in 2002, 2006 and 2007, and this was in County Kilkenny, Tipperary and Waterford. But what we added, or what was added to that programme, was they decided to have a more comprehensive information day for craftspeople, supplying the details and the methodologies of the Craft in the Classroom. And they also put a selection process so that craftspeople had to apply to be part of the programme, and they had to submit images and reasons for wanting to be part of the programme. And we also placed more emphasis on support of the visual arts curriculum. There was input on the day about the content of the visual arts curriculum. And that ran, and again, I think it was 15 schools and roughly the same amount of students. Then 2000 and 2007 and 2008, it rolled out in Carlow and Wexford. This time we moved the project on again, and we partnered with the PBDS Arts Officer, Fidelma Morris, and she came and gave us a presentation on the visual arts curriculum in the Strand, because we'd found that actually a lot of makers, a lot of craftspeople who had been working within education for quite a few years knew nothing of the visual arts curriculum, and their feedback from the following year, the previous year, had pointed out how valuable that was, that if they knew about the visual arts curriculum and how the strands worked, then they could design their courses to fit in with the visual arts curriculum. So Fidelma gave us a wonderful input presentation on the visual arts curriculum. And the other emphasis that we did the information day, and specifically in the training, was we placed more emphasis on the collaborative process. That is, the working together, the team and partnership between the teacher and the craftsperson, and building those partnerships. Because we were finding in the feedback from the projects and the closure days that this strong collaboration was having a very, very positive effect on the success of the residencies. So that was then. Then in 2008-2009, Louise Allen joined the Crafts Council as Education and Awareness Manager, and together we made some other changes to the programme based on feedback from the previous projects. There were two major changes. Partnerships were formed with education centres and local arts and crafts centres in the designated regions. This helped to strengthen links with the local communities, and it also reduced some of the administrative costs. And we provided a huge amount of support. And we also asked schools to contribute to the project. These two changes enabled us to double the number of schools involved in the programme on the same budget. What we did was we ran it in County Leitrim. We chose a rural area in the northwest because feedback showed that these areas really needed support. And then we also went to West Dublin. The other thing we added to this was an information evening for teachers, because we felt that the teachers would benefit from knowing. We were asking the schools to contribute, and also within the programme we're asking teachers to give over quite a lot of time to the programme. So we felt that schools, on one hand, needed to know how much they were going to benefit from receiving the programme in their school, but also that they were how much commitment they had to give over to the project. All teachers who came to the evenings applied for the project, so it didn't put anyone off at all. Even though we told them how much they were going to have to commit, they were going to have to commit to Saturday's training and things like that. And we also introduced information packs and project packs to make the administration more streamlined. So, to date, we've trained 70 craftspeople. We've been in 77 schools, and we've worked with over 2,000 students. So I'd just like to return to the overall aims. This is the overall aims in line with the Crafts Council strategic plan and recommendations arising from creative pathways, as Helen's mentioned, is to raise the awareness of Irish craft through making, to ensure that craft is central to the visual arts curriculum at primary level, to establish sound creative practice and training, and to establish working partnerships between craftspeople and craft root teachers. And evaluation and feedback that we've had over the years points to, when we were looking at it, when I've been writing the report this year, that these key elements are the elements that make Craft in the Classroom such a successful model. One, it's felt that the selection of craftspeople is important, but in order to achieve high level projects, we need to place highly skilled craftspeople within the schools. The other thing is the partnering with the schools. The amount of teachers who said to me, "How did you manage to choose that craftsperson? That we just get on so brilliantly." You know, it was amazing. How did you manage to partner? I would say that half of them said that, but I think the fact that by choosing a craftsperson that fulfills the strand that the teacher is asked for, and by the fact that they meet beforehand, they have a chance to meet and discuss beforehand, before the craftsperson goes into the school, really helps to build that relationship. The training and planning is a key element. As I said, the fact that the training and planning takes place before the residency, so there are no surprises. There are shared expectations from both the teacher and the craftsperson beforehand. And that when the projects are running, there's support from the Crafts Council. So that if any problems arise, and they do from time to time, maybe misunderstandings or that the partnership isn't quite developing in a way that one would hope, then the Crafts Council is there to support and negotiate. And then afterwards, the projects are evaluated, and that evaluation is also proved to be absolutely invaluable. And we have a closure date where everyone comes together and shares the evaluation, and the amount of dissemination and ideas that are passed on through that day has proved very, very useful. So, If I could just briefly touch on the training, there are lots of elements. In fact, we've got one of our main trainers here, Mary Brett's with us today, and she's going to be talking later. One of the key areas that has shone through the projects within the training is the design process that's described, and that all craftspeople would work with themselves anyway. So if we break it down, it looks like a stimulus. So teachers are used to working on themes. So that might be spring, or it might be particular shapes, or it might be something taken from history. And then the exploration of the idea. And then developing of the skill base, so that might be if it's ceramics, how to join the clay, or the basic skills that they're going to need in order to create what they want to create, or stitching, or constructing without using glue, or without using sellotape, those kind of things, working on their skill base. And then we move into the planning and the designing, and then the implementing of the skills to create the design. So we break down the project into those kind of elements. And we found that these particular skills feed into other curriculum, other subjects within the curriculum. This is an example. You can see the slides here. This is Junior Infants in Sacred Heart, Killarnarden. And at the top you can see that
the students are looking at masks. They were working with ceramicist Claire Turley. So they were very young, they were 4 and 5, and they were working on the theme of masks. So you can see they've got a variety of photographs and pictures there of no masks and masks. They even had one with a Spider-Man mask as well, so a variety of masks. And then they drew pictures of their own masks, and you have a picture there, and planned out what they wanted to make, and then they made it in clay.
And I thought it was amazing at the age of 4 that they could actually design something and draw it and then carry it out in another medium and transfer those skills. And we found that often that wasn't actually happening at primary school level before. And this is 2nd and 3rd class in Leitrim. And this was again with a ceramicist called Anne Gurney. And they did their theme was based on kind of local history and geography. And they worked with an ordnance survey map. And each child blew up a square of an ordnance survey map. And they were working through photographs of well-known buildings or buildings within their village. And they transferred from the photograph onto graph paper. And they worked then with china pens and broke down, so they made a plan of the building. They then transferred those plans to clay slabs and worked with tools to create, and they each made a little ceramic building to place on their map. And it looked like a little model village. It was amazing. Benefits. The benefits for craftspeople are the training and planning and implementing the residencies. A lot of the craftspeople that we place in schools have never worked in education before. Never done any teaching, and they're interested to be involved in the project because they're interested in starting to do some teaching and putting another string to their bow, or they're generally thinking about going into education. What the training does is it gives them good practice in planning and implementing the residencies. And the other thing that we found is that a lot of craftspeople are very isolated. They work in their studios at home, and they don't get a chance to network. Feedback has shown that working on this residency has given them a chance to network, share ideas, get new ideas, and often these ideas have actually fed into their own creativity and changed the way that they were working themselves. I've got an example here. This is Sabrina Mains. Helen mentioned she's from Kilmore Thomas, so NCAD graduate in jewellery design. She's a jewellery designer and a paper maker. You can see the kind of white, you might have seen them in the National Craft Gallery as well, her sort of paper and silver brooches. She'd never worked with colour before she did craft in the classroom, and she did a papermaking project in Leitrim, and she wanted to work with colour, so she did some research about how to introduce colour and dye the pulp. so that she could work with the children.
Using colour. And now you see the work on the right
there. She's working in colour. So it's actually fed into her work. And we've got quite a few incidents, myself as well, and I've worked doing residencies. Often the work I've done teaching has then fed into my own practice. The teachers, well, feedback shows that they feel much more supported with the visual arts curriculum, particularly the strands of ceramics, clay, fabric and fibre, and construction. Those are the areas that teachers have said that they have little confidence. So giving help and support with adding new ideas. They develop their own creative skills and confidence in their own creative skills, that they can try ideas out with the children, trying things that they would never have tried out before. It raises the expectations of what they can do, but also what the children can do, and it gives them ideas for future projects. And it also, the way that we do the training around planning for these residencies, we involve as much integrated learning as possible, so that the residency isn't seen as an adjunct slipped in at the end of the week, that it becomes central to what's taking place in the classroom. So you might have the use of maths and measuring when you're constructing something. You might have science, looking at glazes, or within paper making there's a lot of science. History, a lot of the projects are getting from history or geography, and it's endless. The more you look, a lot of creative writing, all the children documented what they were doing. Sometimes they worked from poems. So we found that craft-based mediums were an amazing vehicle for integrated learning. And then the students, the third partner in the partnership. They benefit from working with craftspeople, having someone come in who was special, who they felt had this amazing skill. That we encourage the craftspeople to bring in their own work so that they look at things in a different way. They don't just think that they appear by magic. They can work out the process. We go back to the design process, that there was an idea, that this idea was then involved skills to make it, and that there was a planning of the design element, and then it was made. So they see objects in a very different way. They get to use specialised tools. You can see here this little silver goblet. Again, that's second and third class. That was last year, and it was a student from the jewellery skills course, and she took in all her hammers and her big metal balls that went bang around, and it was absolutely incredible. And an awful lot of maths was involved in that project, because they were working on taking two-dimensional and changing it into three-dimensional. And the other thing is raise expectations of their abilities. That they suddenly realise that what they're capable of creating. And one of the things that I heard from teachers was how much it fulfilled the SPHE, the social, personal and health education part of the curriculum. That a lot of children who otherwise might not have had a chance to shine really stood out while they were working on this project. Thank you very much. So I was a bit nervous to start. What I'd like to do now is to hand you over to Gina Pestino, who is a textile designer from Dublin, originally from Canada. And she worked with her teachers, Mary Kelly and Patricia Galvin, at Scoil Carmel in Fairhouse in Dublin. And they work with second class, which are, for those of you who don't have children or aren't teachers, they're 7 to 8 year olds. And they're going to now share with you their experience working together on the project and how they created, or how the children created this wonderful war hanging this evening.
Thank you very much, Polly.